This is the 30-minute chart. Bitcoin pumped by, we're about to touch $101,000 per coin, which is crazy. I reckon there's some psychopaths in the chat right now smash buying Bitcoin. Absolutely smash buying Bitcoin. But I want to go back to that question you asked me earlier, diminishing returns. Because I really don't think it's likely that this whole idea of diminishing returns, it plays out forever. So a lot of people are saying each cycle we're going to see smaller returns, and that argument at face value, it sounds logical, right? They say, oh, but as Bitcoin becomes a bigger market cap each 4-year cycle, we need an exponentially larger amount of capital to see a 50x or a 20x. And that's true, right? In that 2013 cycle, we saw like 100x for Bitcoin, okay? And then in the 2017 cycle, we saw something smaller. It was more like a 20x. And then in the 2021 cycle, we saw something smaller. It was more like a 4 or 5x. So everybody's saying we've gone from 100x to 20x to 5x. That means next cycle, we're going to see something smaller than a 5x. We're going to see like a 3x. Maybe Bitcoin tops out at $150,000 per coin. And again, I just think it's really dangerous to extrapolate out the first 15 years of Bitcoin data into the future and say this is our model for the future, because this is previously what the data showed us, okay? I think Bitcoin's fundamentally in a different era right now. And I think when you really look at the total addressable market cap for Bitcoin, and you actually think about, okay, what could Bitcoin be worth? What should Bitcoin be worth if the world wakes up to what Bitcoin is? Then when you start looking at that target in the future, you start to realize diminishing returns makes 0 sense. I don't think it makes any sense, okay? Bitcoin's got the biggest total addressable market cap in the world, right? So it's $900 trillion. Now again, if you understand Bitcoin, you know that Bitcoin is the superior store of value asset. I mean, there's $300 trillion in real estate, hundreds of trillions of dollars in the debt market, over $100 trillion of fiat currency that's literally melting away at 15% per year on average for the globe. Okay, why would you hold a fiat currency losing 15% per year when Bitcoin's appreciating by 100% per year? That's a compounded annual growth rate. Okay, again, this is just maths, but Bitcoin has a $900 trillion TAM. Even if you're ridiculously bearish, even if you wrongly believe the narrative that Bitcoin is just digital gold and it can, let's say it can capture 50 or $100 trillion market cap. So $100 trillion, it sounds like a lot, but it's only like what, 10% of the globe's store of value assets? Okay, well, $100 trillion Bitcoin is like, it's a very pricey Bitcoin. It's a $5 million per coin Bitcoin. Now, if you say Bitcoin has a very conservative $5 million TAM, and we're not even talking about multiplier effects right now, when you actually take into the equation that if you want, or if the world wants to put $100 trillion into Bitcoin, you actually have to factor in the multiplier effect. So if you've got $100 trillion of hypothetical demand for Bitcoin, you actually need to use what is right now a 6x multiplier effect. So that means you've actually potentially got, $600 trillion of hypothetical TAM coming onto Bitcoin's market cap. But maybe let's stay a little bit conservative today. But when you start talking about Bitcoin should easily have a $5 million TAM, for me, it doesn't make sense that we're going to see these cycles of diminishing returns where Bitcoin goes to 150, 225, 300, 410. You know what I mean? Like when you actually math this stuff out for diminishing returns to happen, that means Bitcoin might take like 100 or 200 or 300 years to get to like $5 million a coin. And I just don't think that's how technologies get adopted. Technologies get adopted in exponential waves. If you actually look at the adoption of 3 technologies that I like to look at, the internet, the automobile, and the smartphone, I think they actually give us a pretty interesting model for what I expect Bitcoin to be adopted, okay? And that is in an exponential wave. So if you take the average of those 3 technologies, it took them around 12 years to go from 0 to 10% adoption. But then it took all 3 of those technologies the same amount of time to go from 10% adoption to 90% adoption, another 12 years. And I think it's pretty interesting that right now Bitcoin is what? It's 14 years old. Again, what happens in the next 14 years? I don't know, but I've been calling 2020 the inflection point, the monetary inflection point. I've been calling it era number 2 of Bitcoin. I believe 2020 is kind of when things changed. And I believe that we're kind of in that second era for Bitcoin where things are beginning to change exponentially. And we're seeing it all in the fundamentals. Like we're seeing, this is the first cycle ever where coins have been leaving the exchanges consistently for 4 years. This is the first cycle ever where in the bear market, the price of Bitcoin crashed from 69K to 15K, but the hash rate has gone up 7x since the bottom of that 2022 bear market. Okay, since China banned Bitcoin mining, the hash rate might actually be up 10x by now. Okay, so why? Why is the hash rate diverging from the price? Because this time is different. The nation states are mining Bitcoin. Again, we've been speculating about this for a long time, Opti. You on Simply Bitcoin for years, and I've been speculating about it for years as well. Like nation states have been mining Bitcoin. And now publicly, we can see it. The Kingdom of Bhutan saying, yeah, you know what? 30% of our GDP is now plowed into Bitcoin. We've been openly mining it since 2019. We have Oman investing $1 billion into Bitcoin mining. El Salvador investing $1 billion into Bitcoin mining. Saudi Arabia, the UAE. We have all these countries all around the world publicly investing into Bitcoin mining. So again, privately, you'd have to be stupid if you're a nation state and you're not mining Bitcoin right now. So I think I mean, I could talk about this shit for hours, Opti, but I feel like data's on our side. I do think the fundamentals are shifting, and I think things are getting incredibly bullish. And I think the possibility for us to have a really big cycle, I think it's been underrated in the space. Again, I don't know what's going to happen for certain, but I do think too many people have too much faith in these models, and they're listening to Spaghetti Boy, who's saying sell your Bitcoin at $150,000 a coin because of this model based on this old data that has to be consistently refit and changed all the time to give you such a high R² score. So anyway, the shrimps on the Barbie, as the live chat is saying. What do you think, Opti? What's Bitcoin got cooking on the Barbie for 2025?
A very, very bullish bear. You know, fried bear for everyone out there. But before I move on, and we got a whole show for you guys, jam-packed, a lot of bullish news. It's very nice having a fellow bulltard on the show. You know, Nico's been a bear on the show for way too long. He's too conservative. You know, he becomes a dad and he's all conservative now. And then, you know, he's not bullish anymore. So guys, on Monday when Nico's back, we got to roast him for being a bear.